Hi everyone, welcome to the introduction video to Business Accounting 186. My goal for this video is just to kind of connect for you what the ultimate goal of not only this class is, but future accounting and finance classes. So if we were to look at a company like Apple or Tesla or whatever the case may be, we may know basically what they do, right? We know their products, we use them. I'm recording this on an Apple iPad. But if we are going to be in the business world and we are looking to work for a company, or we want to lend money to them, or we want to invest in them, we want to kind of better understand what their financials look like. And so accounting is called the language of business because essentially I should be able to, if I understand the rules of accounting, I should be able to look at the accounting and financial results of any company. I don't have to even know all the details of that company. And I should be able to gather a lot of information and be able to draw some conclusions on whether I should invest in a company or do business with them in some way. So what I did here is I just went to Apple and to their investor relations page, and you'll see that there's this SEC filing tab here. And I can go into SEC filings, which is the Securities and Exchange Commission. So any company that is publicly traded, meaning I, as the average Joe on the street, can go into my brokerage account, which is an account that you can hold at a place like Wells Fargo or Chase Bank or whatever, and buy some shares of Apple. So any company that's publicly traded on places like the New York Stock Exchange, NASDAQ, by law has to provide these financials, and they have to follow a certain set of rules. And you can see there's all these different filings, these codes for different filings, and we won't go into them completely. What we'll focus on here is this 10K filing about halfway down. So I'm going to click on the PDF of it and pull this up. And so as you can see, this is actually 96 pages. It tells you a little bit of everything. Like if I just look at this page here, I can see that Apple is based in California. I can see there's common stock and there's this 0.00001 par value per share. There's an IRS identification number. And as I scroll through this 10K, you can see in this table of contents, there's a lot of different things I can learn about Apple from reading this form. For this class, what we're actually going to spend the majority of the class doing is looking at this Item 6, selected financial data, and Item 15, exhibits financial statement schedules. So we'll look and discuss broadly in different chapters, different elements of this 10K, but really what we're ultimately trying to get after is the financial statements, okay? And I'm going to scroll through here and show you what I mean by the financial statements. Let me see if I can find them here. I must have missed them, so let me go back up. As you can see, it's 96 pages, so it's a lot of information. But if you ever read through this, and we're going to have a project in class where you will actually have to pull some data from this, you'll be amazed at all of the information you can learn about a company that's just available right here. So you can start seeing some financial figures in here, but there are a couple of statements that are required, and I want to go through them here just to show you what it is that we're going to be working on in this class. Lots of additional information, as you can see. So here are some of the statements. So the first statement that they're showing you, actually let me start with the order that you should think about it, since this is the first time you're seeing any of this. So really, the very first statement is this statement of operations, also called the income statement. So this is a period in time. You can see it says years ended. This is comparing 3 years side by side. So it says years ended September 29, 2018, September 30th, 2017, September 24th, 2016. So it's comparing each year. And it basically tells you what sales were, what the cost of sales were, what the gross margin is, and all of this terminology you're going to learn about. What you can look all the way down, it says earnings per share, so what the earnings per share is. All of this good stuff is going to be covered in this class. The other big statement here is the consolidated balance sheet, and we'll talk about what it means when it says consolidated, but think of this as the balance sheet. So this is a point in time. The income statement is a period, like September 1st of year 1 to September 1st of year 2, or whatever the case may be. A balance sheet is a frozen point in time. So on September 29th, 2018, at 11:59 p.m., Apple had total current assets of 131 billion. Now it looks like 131,000, but if you look up at the title on this page, you can see that it says in millions, and that means you would have to add 6 zeros, which would give us 131 billion of total current assets. Then you can go down and see total non-current assets of around 234 billion. So total assets is 365 billion. And then if you go down, you can see liabilities, total liabilities, 116 billion, and then total non-current liabilities, 141 billion, and then total shareholders' equity, 107 billion. So when you look at the very bottom, total liabilities and shareholders' equity, you have 365 billion. The thing I want to point out here, if you look at that very bottom number, 365 billion, and then go back up and look at the total assets line, that's also 365 billion. Let me go here and right there, right? And that matches here, what we have here. So what you can see is that this balances, and that's the whole point of the balance sheet. And this will make a lot of sense when we talk about the accounting equation. That is, assets must equal liabilities plus shareholders' equity. And finally, the other major statement that we'll really talk about in this class is the statement of cash flows. So this kind of shows for Apple where all of their cash is coming and going for a given period of time. So similar to an income statement, this is over a period of time, and you can see how that works. So we're going to dive into all of this. The majority of the class we're actually going to spend on the balance sheet. So we're going to go and discuss what is cash and cash equivalents, what is marketable securities, why does accounts receivable say net, how do you calculate this number for inventories, how do you come up with this 3956? What are property, plant, and equipment, and what does net mean next to them? We'll talk about some current liabilities. We'll talk about non-current liabilities like debt. We'll talk about shareholders' equity, all of this stuff. We'll also cover the income statement or consolidated statement of operations, as Apple calls it here, right? So income statement or consolidated statement of operations, and then we'll finish off the class with the statement of cash flows, because in order to really produce this statement, we have to understand the income statement and the balance sheet fairly well. So that is the point of this class. It's a very, very important class. This is the building block for not only other accounting classes, but other classes in business and finance, like corporate finance and such. So I hope you enjoy it, and welcome to the class.